Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. But Dan, there's no time for pleasantries, mate. We've just signed Philippe Coutinho for 20 million euros. Oh my God.
It's beautiful, mate. It's a beautiful day in the history of this great club, mate. I'm so excited to talk this one.
Absolutely. But before we do hop into this one, guys, you know the drill by now. We've got a message from today's video sponsor. This video is sponsored by the wonderful guys over at OneFootball. It is the place to get all of the most up-to-date football news, scores, articles, live updates. You couldn't ask for more. Dan, we use this app every single day of our lives, and they've been kind enough to sponsor us here at the Villa Filler again.
Yeah, it powers the podcast, mate. It's my go-to place for live scores, stats, and news from 200 leagues, 12 different languages. It's got the lot, mate.
So, guys, if you check out OneFootball using the link in the top of the description, it'll help us out, it'll help you guys out, and it'll help you just enjoy the game that little bit more. Be like Dan and I, download OneFootball. So, guys, if you haven't checked out OneFootball, make sure you do so using the top link in the description. It helps Dan and I out more than you could ever imagine. Now that that's out of the way, Dan, the obligatory shout out to OneFootball. Philippe Coutinho. It's finally been done, mate. After a few days of it being murmured about, and we've had the go ahead from Fabrizio Romano. Just as my antivirus protection pops up on my screen. This deal is finally done, and the ramifications that this deal will have on this fine footballing institution is absolutely massive, mate. It does genuinely feel like a watershed moment, doesn't it, mate? Getting a player the caliber of Philippe Coutinho, who, let's not forget, signed for Barcelona for 150 million euros for a mere 17 million pounds. We've pulled off the heist of the century, mate.
Yeah, mate, this feels, as you say, mate, a watershed moment. I genuinely think that this could be one of the biggest deals of the summer, not in terms of the transfer window and everything like that, in terms of value and everything like that, but just in terms of what it will mean. I think in putting this club on the map continentally, because I mean domestically we're in a good spot, obviously. A lot of players here in England are aware of the business that Villa are doing and what we're attempting to complete at the club and everything like that. And I think that's why we've beaten the likes of Arsenal to Buendia and stuff like that. But, you know, we're talking about the fourth most expensive transfer in the history of football. Philippe Coutinho, everybody knows the name. Everybody knows the history that he has at Liverpool and places like that. And so for him to choose Aston Villa, and I think this deal also sort of solidifies Purslow's decision to go with Steven Gerrard. We've all seen Fabrizio and the like saying just how important Steven Gerrard was to getting this deal over the line. I think you can go as far to say, mate, if Steven Gerrard isn't Aston Villa manager, we don't get Philippe Coutinho, maybe not even on loan, let alone permanently. So it goes to show the pulling power that he does. And hopefully it means that this puts Europe on watch. This puts Europe on notice to say that Villa are a destination. Villa are a potential landing spot. There's a lot of players whose futures are up in the air at the moment. A lot of players we're shopping around in some elite markets right now. And I think this deal, if nothing else, even if it doesn't work out, it's going to put Villa on the map.
For sure. It's going to help. You know, how many times have we discussed Boubacar Kamara, mate, on this channel? Absolutely to death. These players that have Champions League clubs already on watch are they're going to have their heads turned. Possibly they're going to look at the business that Aston Villa are doing, that can offer them money, that if they're going to host one of the, if we're being realistic on his day, he's a world-class talent, then why not be a part of the project, be ambitious, come to the Villa and see what happens. I'm so excited about this, mate. And especially when you're looking at value for money, I don't think you're going to find a better deal than it may be Erling Haaland. I don't know, but I guess when you kind of factor in all of the wages and the 40 million euro agent fees that are involved in that deal, it starts to become quite eye-watering. But listen, Dan, we can't ignore the facts. 17 million pounds, fantastic bit of business. It really is. The wages, as we just alluded to there with Haaland, £250,000 a week Philippe Coutinho is on. It works out to £13 million annually. It's looking like it's a 3 or 4 year deal. It hasn't necessarily been confirmed that just yet. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. And do you feel it almost feels like we've kind of taken advantage of what is a situation at Barcelona where they just have to get people off their wage bill. We all kind of know the severity of that issue that they've got going on over there financially, mate. But 250k a week is a lot of money, and we're currently only paying 150k of that. It is reported whilst he's on loan. This completely changes the wage structure, mate, doesn't it? And we know that Jacob Ramsey, there's been reports from papers that he's on now 70 grand a week, which is crazy. Philippe coming in at 250 is mental, mate. And one thing that I mentioned in the rumour post as well, if this doesn't work out and Villa do end up having to offload this guy in the future, when he does go, the next 3 years of financial fair play after he leaves, they're going to be amazing, because there's going to be 13 million annually that was burning a hole in our wage budget that we now have sort of clawed back, essentially. So it's a lot of money, and there is a lot of risk attached to it, I think, mate. But are we playing the game a little bit here? Is that what's going on?
I think you have to, mate. I think you have to. I think it's a gamble, inevitably. But I think you've got security in the fact that, Villa fans have seen a bit of disgruntlement about the fact that, he's now turning into his 30s. I don't think that's a problem with a guy like Philippe, because his game isn't reliant on physical traits. This isn't a pacey striker whose legs are going to go. Do you know what I mean? It's like this isn't. It's a guy that relies on pure technical ability, pure physical talent, and so he can float around and play that number 10 spot for a number of years. And he can lose a few yards of pace, and I don't think it will have a massive impact on his game. So I think you've got a player there who you can trust to go into his 30s and age quite well, really. Obviously, when you're offering a player wage like that, there can be problems. And we've seen this weird trend come into football in recent years where players are sort of locked in clubs by their contracts because they're on such high wages. It's then very difficult to offload them. We saw that with, Mesut Ozil is a shining example, who was earning so much money. Alexis Sanchez at Manchester United, another one. And so, you have to trust the club that we've learned from the other clubs and their mistakes. But I dare say we're a better run institution than those two. I think Philippe is a safer bet. He's someone that's still got a lot to play for. He's someone that's going to be looking ahead in the short term at the World Cup at the end of this season, and is going to want to play himself into the Brazil squad to go to Qatar. So he's still got these personal milestones that he wants to achieve in his career. He still wants to end it on a high. People will inevitably now look at just the financials of that Barca deal and see it as a flop, something that didn't work out. For Barca, it certainly didn't. All he did was, they paid $188 million for him in 2018, loaned him to Bayern. He scored twice against them in an 8-2 defeat for Barca, won the Champions League off the back of that, and then they sold him at £167 million loss. So yeah, it hasn't worked out for Barcelona, but it's certainly Aston Villa's game, mate. This guy's absolutely incredible. He joined, and the impact that he had on this squad was immeasurable, and I dare say it's a statement of intent. We're going to have to get comfortable with playing players this kind of money. If we want to start going to the top level, you want to start competing in Europe, we have to get rid of this. Oh, that's a lot of money and everything like that, because that's what the big players want these days. That's what if you want to go and pick up the likes of Coutinho, this is what you have to pay. We have to sort of change the narrative and become comfortable with that. You're right, it's going to break the bank, but I think it's the first of many, mate. And I think there is going to be a change in Villa's wage structure, because this is the type of caliber of player we want to attract now.
For sure. And as well, it's been at the forefront of every Villa fan's mind at the moment. Emi Buendia has to start. Emi's the guy. We need to do this. And whilst I 100% agree, Emi Buendia should have started a lot more games than he has done at this point. To compete at the top level of English football, you have to have strength in depth. There has to be 2 or 3 players in every single position that are good enough to compete with each other and drive each other forward. Steven Gerrard's gone on the record and says he wants 2 world-class number 10s. We now have 2 world-class number 10s, if we're being realistic. With how much we all rate Emi Buendia, and obviously the level of game we know that Phil is capable of. Pre-season under this man's belt, he's going to be a completely different beast. But I was thinking this earlier, mate. we're not two up front. That's not going to be a long-term thing. So there will be a time where I think we see both Emmy and Phil in the team together. But in the short term, I think Emmy Buendia will be loving the fact that we've signed Philippe Coutinho permanently, because again, he's got no one better to learn off, has he? You know, that's going to make him raise his game in training and really give Stevie a few difficult decisions to make. And you know, again, in the short term, two up front, it seems to be the thing. I can't imagine it will be. He wants two world-class number 10s. He wants to play with his 2 10s in his sort of Christmas tree formation, which realistically means we need to sign another 2 world-class number 10s, doesn't it? If that's going to be the game. But strength in depth is so key, because how long have we been saying, mate, you know, we need squad depth? Or we somehow managed to convince ourselves that we have really good squad depth. And then when it comes to it, a few injuries happen. All of a sudden, we're missing a Dougie, we're missing a Marv, and we're going, oh my goodness, we are absolutely screwed here. So I'm 100% on board, especially for the fee. The problem with Phil, mate, is we've never seen 100% Phil since he's come to Villa. I do truly believe that. And his biggest problem was scoring and assisting on his debut, because he set the standard right there, didn't he? He comes off the bench, he gets a goal, he gets an assist against Manchester United in what is a huge point that we picked up right at the start of the sort of Gerrard era. He set the standard there, and that's on him, obviously. It's not the fans' fault for holding him to that level, because that's what we saw straight away. But we said it a few podcasts ago, mate. It takes time for players to adjust into systems. Even if, you know, Phil spent 6 years in England before, it takes time to embed into a new city, a new squad, a completely different playing style to what you've been used to, or even just playing at all. Because Phil had only 10 appearances on and off the bench for Barcelona. Got a little bit of a look in when Xavi came in as he's sort of, you know, eyeing up his squad. I do truly believe, mate, pre-season, it's going to be massive. It really is. You know, this Australia trip, that's going to be sick. And, you know, with the World Cup at the front of his mind as well, which is clearly another reason why he decided to make this sort of leap of faith and come to Villa, because other than Gerrard and other than, you know, the project that we're selling him, he's had offers to go elsewhere, Dan. He doesn't have to come to Aston Villa. He clearly thinks that this move is the best thing for his career and his international career as well, which, you know, I don't want to say it's a last chance saloon for him in Brazil, but they've got some really talented youngsters coming through, and you kind of maybe feel that this is Phil's last chance of playing regularly in a World Cup squad. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah, 100%. But, you know, Brazil are really keen on him. The Selecao want him in that side. You know, they've been so clear on that. You know, it was sort of when the move was touted around, and, you know, even like November when he was at Barcelona and he wasn't playing much, there was still calls for him. They still wanted to get him out there. And, you know, Tite, the manager, he made it very clear to Coutinho. It's like, look, if you can get yourself playing football, there's a space for you in this team. And he held his word. It's like, you know, as soon as he got that move to Villa, he was back in the squad, he was playing games, he was scoring goals. And so this isn't, you know, there's still clearly a plan for him. And you're right, there's a lot of talented players coming through for Brazil right now. And, you know, Felipe Coutinho, he won't make the 2026 World Cup. I think it's fair to say, you know, this 2022 edition will probably be his last appearance at a World Cup. And so it's a big one for him. And I think you're right in terms of, it sort of felt like it's gone a little bit cold on Coutinho, and there isn't the excitement that I want around this transfer, because honestly, I think it's amazing, mate. I think it's such a big moment. This is the best player we've ever signed in my lifetime, and, you know, it's going to be the same for you, I guess, mate. I think we can honestly say that, you know, if you'd have said in January, if the loan never happened in the summer, you're going to pick up Felipe Coutinho for less than 20 million quid, mate. Shit, that's crazy. We would have gone crazy. That is an unbelievable deal. We would have been so excited. It's only because, as you said, he came in and he made such an instant impact that, like, it's sort of become, it cooled a bit, and we were questioning, like, you know, is this a good deal? Is this not a good deal? £30 million, what was the original fee? We actually said, mate, that, like, you know, we were trying to barter that, and we sort of scoffed at that, didn't we? Do you remember when the reports that we were bartering on the fee, and we said, I don't think that's how it works. It will be pre-agreed and everything like that. what do we know? The fee is great. The player is great. I'm happy that he's on board. I think it means that we clearly see a long-term future for Stevie. He's got that Klopp contract keeping him out of the Liverpool picture for at least, I think it's 2026, isn't it? So it's at least four years before that sort of natural progression that everyone's sort of hailing can at least come into fruition. I think that aligns with Coutinho's vision for how long he wants to spend at the club. So yeah, all round, mate, I think this is a brilliant deal. I think he will play. I think he'll feel more secure. I think he'll benefit from having the security of a permanent deal. I think it's very different to being on loan. You know, there's got to be a lot of questions going around his mind. He's like, you know, am I going to go through this, have this period of like finding a home and then go back to Barcelona and have to go through that whole process again of like coming back to return to Barcelona on loan. So it gives mental security for him and his family. I'm sure that'll make him a lot happier, and hopefully we see the benefits of that, mate.
Absolutely. Let's just secure the contract for Dougie. Get a few more Brazilians in the squad, make him feel as comfortable as possible. And this is a massive step forward, mate. And honestly, guys, this is only the beginning we can imagine. If this is what we're able to do, you know, just before the season's complete, then you look at the caliber of players that we can hopefully attract through the summer. If we can get a Boubacar Kamara, a Calvin Phillips, players like that, and opening with the Calcicar, who we spoke about a few weeks ago as well, which nobody watched, so that'll be linked at the end. It's just going to be a massive window, mate. It's a massive summer. You guys are going to want to make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a transfer rumour mill, a transfer announcement, or just a general Villa discourse, because it's the greatest Villa podcast out there. That is pure 100%. Facts. So guys, if you enjoyed this, hit a like, comment your thoughts down below, and make sure you subscribed and hit the bell notification. That way you'll never miss a video of the Villa.